Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Report: one notable team is now out of Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. As Jimmy Butler's suspension from the Miami Heat draws to a close, his outside options appear to be dwindling. Veteran NBA writer Mark Stein reported to Substack on Sunday that one rumored suitor does not plan to pursue the Heat star Butler in free agency this offseason, the Brooklyn Nets. Stein also notes that the Nets are not locked into the idea of trading for a superstar this offseason either. That matters a lot for Butler because he loses major leverage over the Heat here in his efforts to force a trade ahead of the February 6 deadline. Butler has been said to be interested in playing for Brooklyn, and the Nets are one of the precious few teams in the league with the ability to potentially extend Butler a max contract offer this summer. With the Nets now seemingly out of the mix, the threat of Butler leaving the Heat in free agency for nothing is probably no longer there. That means that Miami doesn't need to panic trade him right now for 70 cents on the dollar and can hold on to him through the offseason. The Heat can wait for Butler to pick up his $52.4 million player option and go back to the drawing board for a sign-in trade that would net them more assets for Butler than they might get right now, since Butler would have a full year left on his contract with a new team instead of just a few months. Of course, the six-time All-Star Butler can always throw a wrench into Miami's plans by taking a discount as a free agent to just leave anyway. But considering that he is now 35 years old and that money was a central reason why his relationship with the Heat broke down in the first place, that seems like an unlikely outcome at this point. Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler will not settle for anything less than a maximum contract. With this in mind, organizations interested in trading for the six-time All-Star must be willing to pay a regressing veteran forward top dollar. However, there's no reason this needs to take place prior to the NBA's trade deadline on February 6. One aspect of Butler's situation going overlooked is his $52.4 million player option for next season. Considering the lack of teams able to pay him a max deal in free agency, NBA insider Bobby Marks of ESPN suggests he could surprisingly opt in. "I think there is a strong likelihood he's on this roster when we get past February 6, Mark said on SiriusXM NBA radio. "I know it's been reported that Jimmy is going to decline that option and become a free agent, but when you have $52 million on the table, you have to have a home to go to. I think it would be more likely to opt into the contract and then see where you stand as far as a trade. Both sides need each other." The last route the Heat's front office and team president Pat Riley wish to take is forcing a Butler trade at the deadline simply to get him off the roster. Riley will not settle for a package he's not satisfied with. Meanwhile, Butler waiting till next season to see a change of scenery is a genius move. If the Phoenix Suns are truly his number one destination, moving Bradley Beal's lucrative contract in its final guaranteed year could be much easier than it is currently. Watch: viral ring girl Sydney Thomas says an SEC coach slid into her DMs after the Jake Paul fight. Sydney Thomas was the star of the show during the Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson boxing match. Following Jake Paul's victory over Mike Tyson this past November, ring girl Sydney Thomas proved to be the real winner of the night's otherwise lackluster event. The Alabama student-turned-viral internet sensation flooded everyone's timelines in the aftermath of the mega event, which was Netflix's first live sports event. Thomas recently appeared on the Like a Farmer podcast and told the stories of her messages being flooded by many celebrities and athletes after the Paul and Tyson event. "Let's just say this, it was from another SEC team's football coach," Thomas admitted when asked who the craziest direct message (DM) she received was from following her appearance during Paul vs. Tyson. "They just DM'd me Roll Tide. I'm not gonna say what coach it was, but they're an Alabama fan, now, at least. We'll let everyone figure that out for themselves who it was." Since being a ring girl for the live Netflix event, Thomas has surged on social media, surpassing 1 million followers on TikTok and currently sitting with 845,000 followers on Instagram. Thomas has been virtually everywhere over the last few months, including being given VIP and courtside treatment at a recent NBA game between the Atlanta Hawks and Miami Heat at Atlanta's State Farm Arena. Whether it's publicly rejecting athletes, such as New Orleans Pelicans star, Zion Williamson, or receiving messages from some of the biggest celebrities, athletes, and coaches in the world, it's safe to say Thomas is going to remain relevant for a while. The best thing about podcasting these days is that sometimes, all bets are off with questions. Most of the time, hosts of shows are prepped with guidelines on what to touch on and what to shy away from, depending on the popularity of the guest. Other times, well, topics just kind of slip through the cracks. Retired NBA star Dwayne Wade appeared on the DraftKings-backed show, The OG Show. The sports-centered comedy show, hosted by NBA legends and Wade's former teammates Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller, had their old buddy on this past Tuesday for a lengthy chat. A scandalous topic was mentioned early on in the episode. Apparently, former NFL star and once convicted felon O.J. Simpson had a girlfriend who hit on the Miami Heat legend. When this became the topic of conversation, Wade was clearly trying to be coy about it. Heat part ways with Jamie Jaquez Jr. in proposed blockbuster trade with Nets. Miami Heat forward Jamie Jaquez Jr. is not meeting expectations in his sophomore campaign following an impressive rookie season. His stats and efficiency are down, potentially making the Heat's front office more willing to part ways with the 23-year-old. There is no motivation to move on from Jaquez if veteran star Jimmy Butler is, in fact, traded prior to the February 6 trade deadline. However, if Butler plays in Miami for the remainder of the season, there will likely be a desire to add win-now pieces in the coming month. Fansided predicted the Heat could make the following blockbuster trade with the Brooklyn Nets: Heat receive, Cameron Johnson. Nets receive, Duncan Robinson. Jamie Jaquez Jr. Johnson is arguably the NBA's most sought-after trade target for championship contenders, considering his ability to mesh in any system. The Nets forward is averaging 19.5 points and 4.3 rebounds on 49.6% shooting and 43.6% from three-point range. He could act as the perfect frontcourt complement next to Bam Adebayo, who is having a down year on the offensive end. Brooklyn's motivation to accept this package over the likes of potential offers from the Oklahoma City Thunder and Golden State Warriors comes from a high level of confidence in Jaquez. He showed flashes of all-star potential during his rookie season, which the Nets could hopefully unlock. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Cameron Johnson? Leave your opinion in the comments.